Hey guys, it's Jake.
And Fat Black Panther, but you can call me T'Challa.
Welcome back to NerdBytes.
Hi guys.
It's a new week.
New week.
New things to cover.
Thing to cover.
So be it.
Yeah.
So, on this week, we wanted to dive into a few different things here. Wanted to get into a topic that's a little bit dicey and a little bit touchy, but we're going to touch on it anyway. We like to touch things.
Especially things we shouldn't. Racism in comic books and movies. Touchy subject, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Coming up
on NerdBytes.
But we do want to also get on to the comment of the week here.
But before that, we've got a new video coming out.
We do.
This Friday. Be there.
Or just be wherever you're at, because you can just take it with you.
Yeah,
which is fine too.
Your phone, your computer, your Xbox, your PlayStation. Just watch.
Cell phones.
The new video coming out is going to be part of our debate series. We're going to figure out who is the best mercenary in comic books.
New series is going to be called Nerd versus Nerd, and this week's special guest is Josh Thesaurus Rex McMurray.
Hey guys, what's up?
And being our special guest, we're going to let him do something special.
Oh boy.
He gets to read the comment of the week.
That's scary.
This comment brought to you by Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, everyone. Alright.
The Jeff Goldblum.
The Jeff Goldblum. Violence with video games can be a touchy subject matter, but the both of you approached it with sensibility and nobility. The vituperation and bloodshed in video games is not a factor when kids run around. And let's see. Okay.
Technical error.
It's not a factor when kids run around and act violent. It is an excuse, and you guys put that to great usage. To subjugate this monstrosity, we must first pinpoint its exact embellishment, its delineation, if you will. Video games are a digital inferno, raising the minds of little bambinos. This is ridiculous. At least this is what they would have you believe. Yes, fat nipples. Okay.
Bad nipples.
Thank you, Josh.
No problem.
Well,
Our special guest.
I'm not entirely sure that you are the Jeff Goldblum.
We're hoping, though.
We are hoping. I love you, Jeff. Really, I do. Jurassic Park, that's awesome. That's just period. Awesome. That's all it is. Only with your many other works. However, being that I'm not entirely sure that you are the Jeff Goldblum, please do send us some type of message to get this t-shirt to you, because we do not obviously have your address or information. So please send us some type of line so we can get that to you. And you'll have your own Bat Nipples t-shirt.
Bat nipples. Perky bat nipples. Like we said, this week we're going to discuss some racism in comic books and comic book movies. And what that boils down to is this week there was a report coming out of Chiwetel Ejiofor is going to be playing Baron Mordo in the new Doctor Strange film. Baron Mordo is a nobleman of Transylvania. How many Transylvanian noblemen do you know that are of African descent? Because I don't happen to know any.
Not off the top of my head. No.
Yeah, doesn't work for me either. I just can't figure it out. But it brings us up to a pretty good subject. And another news that you told me was of Idris Elba, who is, most of you would probably know from playing Heimdall in the Thor series, is no longer in the running to play James Bond because of his race.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that, but he was actually supposed to be in talks with the makers of the 007 series to take over that role whenever Daniel Craig does decide to retire, or when they decide to retire him, whatever the case may be. But it has been thrown out there now officially, and I've actually confirmed this, that he is out of the running for the role, and that there will be no quote-unquote black 007 anytime soon, which is a really, really big shame, because he's an excellent actor and he could do the role a lot of justice. I don't understand what the thought process here is on this type of situation here. I mean, he's perfect for it. He'd be a great 007, but because he's not a white actor, he's suddenly out of the running. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's unfortunate because in anything that has ever been written about James Bond, it's never been specified that he's white. It's always been specified that he's British and that he's a special forces kind of guy. He's part of MI6. So it's kind of strange to me that you would come out and say, no black James Bond, just because that's how you're used to it being seen, when there's no source material to support your thesis. It doesn't really add up to me. And like you said, Idris Elba, I love him in everything he's ever been in. I'm a huge Idris Elba fan. I'm on the fence on the whole Thor thing because personally I've never seen a black Nordic god or Norsemen in general. They were Vikings, and I've never seen anything of a black man in Asgard in a comic book I've read, but that's just me.
And it seems like it's becoming a trend lately for comic book movies and just movies in general to switch up roles with races, that weren't originally in the actual writing. It's not a bad thing by any means. I think it's actually really good because you get a whole new variety of actors to play these roles that can bring a whole different spice to the character. And for actors to be rejected still in this day and age for that type of a thing, it's ridiculous. There's really no other way to put that. It's ridiculous.
The way I look at it is I've been a very big comic book reader since I was a kid, so I'm a little more, I guess, true to the source material kind of thing. Growing up, like, you look at Michael Clark Duncan playing Kingpin in the Daredevil movie, which Michael Clark Duncan was probably the best part of that movie, playing Kingpin, but growing up as a kid, you never saw a black Wilson Fisk because it wasn't a thing. If you're going to put it in there, try and stick a little bit closer to the source material. Excuse me. It's not that hard to say that Michael Clark Duncan's character took out Wilson Fisk and he is the new Kingpin. Give it a reason, kind of a thing. Like, I have no issue with a black actor playing what is a usual white role, I guess you could say. But give it a reason. Like Fantastic Four, Human Torch being black. They made him Invisible Girl's stepbrother. You gave it a reason. You made it make sense. But you have to make it make sense. Just saying, well, he's this person, he's this race because we said he is. Doesn't make sense. Chiwetel Ejiofor is a great actor. He was Oscar nominated for 12 Years a Slave. He was in Red Belt, which I loved. It was a great movie. He's a great actor. Him playing Baron Mordo adds a different variety of seriousness to this film, starring alongside Benedict Cumberbatch and Tilda Swinton, which is a great pairing right there. You add him in, you've got a much better movie. But at the same time, if you look back, you've got so many different instances of this happening, especially in comic book movies, because for a lot of other stuff, you don't have source material to stick to where you've got pictures to justify the character's description. Right. Which is why comics are a little bit of a different subject on this. Comics in general, a lot of them were written for the basis of the minority group and people going through trials and tribulations, such as X-Men was created to further along the idea of minorities during the Civil Rights Movement for black people it was for kids to understand that just because you're different doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, kind of a thing. Which is ironic when you think about it because they were all white, but it is what it is. The only black X-Men was Storm, who came along far after the original X-Men had been introduced. But, I mean, you take a look at this, you got Billy D. Williams was Harvey Dent in the old Batman movies, Michael Clark Duncan ended up playing Kingpin, Nick Fury, who is black in the Ultimate Comics and based on Samuel Jackson, which is fine, but for 40 years before that, he was always a white guy who, unfortunately, the only screen treatment he got was David Hasselhoff, so that's unfortunate. But it's just one of those things where you look at so many different characters and you look at the actors who could play these people as white people kind of thing, and to take that and just go, we're not even going to try it. It bothers me a little bit, but at the same time, as long as you give it a reason, I can understand that it's justified to bring in black actors, like you said, to add a different variety and a new spectrum of actors to this. But at the same time, I want to make sure with these movies, since it's something that I love so much, that we're getting the right actor for the role, not because of his race. Race should not be a factor in this.
No, not
You should be the best actor for the role because you're the best actor for the role, not because your skin color says you should be in that role. But just justify it. Give it a reason to happen. Is my only view on it.
And that's what I said whenever we addressed the original Fantastic Four movie, as far as the new one that just came out. In our very first video, I brought up the fact that it was Sue Storm's brother's now a black actor, and I said that's fine as long as you actually justify it within the storyline, and as long as you do that, it's fine. And sometimes you don't even have to do that. It's just a matter of the fact of the actor is a great actor, he fits well in the role, roll with it. That's all there is to it.
But please give it a reason to make sense based on the source material. If you're going to make Wolverine black, give me a reason why Wolverine's black now. You could have him completely in a different alternate universe. Marvel's got 5,000 alternate universes. Instead of having him be a slave owner's son, have him be a slave son. Just justify the fact that you're doing it. It just has to make sense. To me, personally at least. It has to make sense for why these characters are being changed the way they are. Like, Baron Mordo in the books is a villain-wise, he's okay. I wouldn't say he's the tippity-top of villains by any means, but at the same time, he's a villain that if you get the right actor in there, can work unbelievably well. And I think Chiwetel Ejiofor adds some seriousness to that role that would be lacking with other actors and such. So I'm excited that he's playing this role, and I think that as far as racism in movies and comics goes, it's something that needs to be touched on a little better than it has been, and we need to get a little more discussion going about it personally.
That's just our thoughts. Let us know what you think. Put in the comments below, down below this video. Check it out.
Underneath.
So,
Don't forget
let
to
us know what
like or subscribe or share. Because sharing is caring.
and we care a lot.
About you.
I look forward to you guys' comments. We'll see you next week.
Have fun, guys.